Hey, X. I'm breaking about a dozen confidentiality agreements and likely putting my life in danger by posting here. But if you're reading this, I need you to know CERN is playing with something far more dangerous than they're letting on. You've seen the weird weather patterns. You've heard about the strange lights in the sky. Maybe you've even seen the videos of people gathering by the sea, staring out to God knows where. This isn't hysteria. It's not random. I should know I was one of the lead researchers on the Portal project. My name is not important, but I need you to listen. I've worked at CERN for almost a decade, mostly on particle collisions and multidimensional theory. I'm not one of the rock stars of physics you hear about. I'm the type who quietly works her 60-hour weeks, methodically analyzing data. About a year ago, I was looped into something called the Event Horizon Project. It was hush-hush, invite only. The aim? Let's just say the official name of the project barely scratched the surface. If you're familiar with CERN's work, you know we smash particles together at near light speeds to explore the fundamental building blocks of matter. But the Event Horizon Project was something else entirely. It wasn't just about observing particles. It was about creating a stable portal. Yes, a portal. They spun it to us as a gateway to better understand unobserved dimensions. They even had a working theory. Think of it like this. Other dimensions aren't separate places in the way we usually think. They occupy the same spatial location as our universe, but vibrate at different frequencies. They're like different channels on a radio. Just because you're tuned into one station doesn't mean the others aren't there, occupying the same airwaves. You just don't notice them until you switch to their frequency. CERN found a way to match those frequencies, to tune into them in a sense, and open a bridge. Theoretically, if you could align the vibrational frequency of two dimensions perfectly, you'd create a resonance that would allow matter and information to pass between them. That's what CERN's Portal project was about, matching frequencies precisely enough to create a bridge between dimensions, allowing us to look into other realms. But here's the thing about resonating with another dimension. It's not just a window we're creating, it's a two-way door. When you match frequencies, you're in perfect sync. The space between isn't just thin, it doesn't exist at all. And anything on the other side can feel that bridge, can sense that connection, even if it's not like us in any way we understand. Some of the researchers brushed this off as fantasy, but I could tell they didn't really understand the implications of what we were doing. They thought they were simply taking a peek. Our first tests were small, designed to detect even the slightest vibrational resonance. But every time we got close to matching the frequencies, strange things happened. The equipment would go haywire. Energy readings would spike erratically. And sometimes there were distortions, shadowy, flickering shapes appearing and disappearing in our sensor feeds. We assumed it was interference, noise in the data, but in hindsight, I'm not so sure. It felt like something was shifting, like we were brushing against something that didn't quite belong in our world. The higher-ups kept pushing us to keep tuning the frequency closer and closer. They'd say things like, think of the scientific implications, and this could be a Nobel-worthy discovery. But as we approached what they called resonant stability, it was clear that things were moving in a dangerous direction. We weren't just brushing against another dimension. We were actively trying to connect with it, to tear a hole between us and it. And nobody seemed to care about the risk. The worst part? Every time we ramped up the portal's power, weird phenomena started happening around the world. It wasn't until one of our engineers showed me a video that I realized how widespread it was. I still remember him leaning over to me with his phone. "Doctor, you have to see this," he whispered. The video was from a beach in Spain, filmed early in the morning. There was a group of people just standing there, staring out at the ocean, not moving, not speaking. A dozen people at least, all standing in a line, shoulder to shoulder, facing the horizon. Another video popped up the next day, this time from Portugal, then France, then California. It was happening everywhere. There was no way this was random. People weren't going to these beaches for vacation or morning walks. They were compelled. They looked vacant, blank. One video from a beach in Japan showed a whole line of people standing in the surf up to their knees, letting the waves crash over them, staring out to sea as if hypnotized. Something about it felt ancient, primal, like they were answering a call only they could hear. It made my skin crawl. The worst part, no one knew why they were doing it. As I watched the videos, I felt an odd compulsion myself, a tug, faint but insistent, like I too needed to look. But look for what? I told myself it was just paranoia, but the more I thought about it, the more I knew it wasn't. Then the rumors started about the hum. Not everyone can hear it, apparently, but once you do, it's impossible to ignore. A low thrumming sound, barely perceptible, like a deep resonance that you feel more in your chest than your ears. Reports came in from all over, Spain, Japan, and the UK. People described it as a cosmic vibration or a humming from beneath the earth. Some even thought it was coming from the ocean itself. At first, I thought it was nonsense, hysteria. Then, one night, working late at CERN, I heard it myself. A low hum, like a tuning fork vibrating in the back of my skull. I thought I was losing it, but when I asked a colleague, his face went pale. He'd heard it too. We tried to track it, trace its source, but it was elusive, fading as soon as we'd catch onto it. And somehow, it always seemed loudest just before a portal test. I'm convinced now that the hum is connected to the portal. It's not just an energy signature, it's a signal. Like something on the other side is reaching out, calling us to open the door wider. And people around the world are hearing it too, even if they don't understand what it is. At this point, I started connecting the dots. The strange weather patterns, the relentless storms battering Spain, the freak lightning, the coastal erosion, all aligned with the portal tests. The lights in the sky, astronomers were calling them auroras, but they were far too far south, and they didn't behave like any natural aurora. Instead, they pulsed in sync with our experiments. One night, I watched from a hill near CERN as strange flickering shadows passed over the landscape. They weren't clouds. I knew in my gut they were reflections, ghosts of something from the other side. And the people on the beaches? I started thinking of them as sentinels drawn to the sea, waiting. For what? I didn't know. I started leaking some of my findings anonymously, hoping someone would pick up on the signs, but no one seemed to take it seriously. Instead, they latched onto conspiracy theories, ridiculing the whole idea or calling these things demons or other such nonsense. Demons aren't real, but these things are, and maybe I deserve that. Even I barely believe what I've seen, but the crazier the theories get, the more they move away from science and into the realm of mythology, the less likely people are to take this seriously. And they need to take this seriously. But I know one thing for certain. Something is bleeding through that portal. And it's not friendly. A few weeks ago, I couldn't shake the feeling I needed to see it for myself. I drove to a secluded beach just before dawn, planning to watch the water, hoping to understand what was drawing people there. I was alone at first, but as the sun began to rise, people started arriving. They stood beside me, silent, transfixed, staring into the ocean. I heard it then, the hum, clear as day, vibrating deep in my bones. It felt like the ocean itself was humming, like it was alive. I wanted to turn away, but I couldn't. I was rooted to the spot, as if I were anchored to the earth. Then I noticed the shadows, those strange shapes in the water. Not waves, not reflections, but dark figures beneath the surface, moving as if pacing, waiting. I thought maybe it was some trick of the light or a hallucination brought on by lack of sleep. But I wasn't alone. Everyone else was staring at the same thing, and we all stood there for what felt like hours, silently watching. When I finally broke away and walked back to my car, I felt strange, disoriented, as if I were only half present. It was like I'd left part of myself back there on the shore, still watching, still listening. Back at CERN, I found evidence in restricted files suggesting these sea gatherings aren't random. Our experiments are aligning with electromagnetic anomalies, and the portal's influence is creating something akin to psychic interference. Humans, especially those near coastlines, are feeling the effects, responding to that call. I'm convinced now that the portal isn't just a gateway. It's a bridge, one that's starting to buckle under the strain of dimensions colliding. And whatever's on the other side, I don't think it's just shadows or whispers. It's something conscious, waiting to cross. When we began, we thought we were connecting to a dimension like ours, just slightly different. A parallel version, maybe a reality where the variables shifted just enough to make it a near reflection of our own. That's how it was sold to us anyway. But the more I've seen, the more I'm convinced we miscalculated massively. This dimension we're linked to, it's not the same. It feels wrong, as if its laws of nature, its energies are darker, heavier, somehow incompatible with ours. I can't shake the feeling that the beings on the other side aren't just different. They're alien in ways we can't even begin to comprehend. And yet, they seem drawn to us, as if they've sensed us through the portal and are eager to reach through. I don't know what's going to happen if CERN's project continues, but I'm afraid that we've torn a hole in something far older, far more dangerous than anyone realizes. I know how this sounds. If you're still reading, you probably think I'm a lunatic or some conspiracy nut. But think about it. The strange weather, the lights, the hum, the people gathering at beaches around the world, it all started with CERN's tests. You can Google this if you want, and you will see it all matches up. And we're not stopping. There's another one scheduled in just a few days, and each time we push it further, I'm trying to get this message out now because I don't know how much longer we have. I don't know what'll happen when the portal fully stabilizes, but I have a feeling that what's waiting on the other side is going to reach back. So if you're reading this and you live near a coast, stay away from the water. Whatever you do, don't go to the shore. And if you hear it, the hum, do not listen. Because once you do, it stays with you. I've heard it in my sleep and in the silence, and sometimes I swear I hear it calling me, pulling at me. They know we're here. And they're coming. This is Shaded Girl. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video.